The next Arkham game. Do I think it's happening? Yeah, to some degree, but I mean, what will the next Arkham game be about? Well, this is going to be a very interesting video. Before we start, I just wanted to wish you all a Happy New Year. I hope you guys enjoyed bringing in 2024 with friends and family, and it's time to get back to work. So today we're going to be talking about the next Arkham game according to the internet and what that's going to be like. Now again, just take the following information with a grain of salt because there is really no concrete information. In fact, what everyone has to go by is James Gunn's now deleted tweet that the Arkham franchise will somehow continue after Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Now, what James Gunn doesn't understand is the Arkham fanbase is very divided over the Suicide Squad game. Some of us really don't like shooters. I know Rocksteady's first real video game was an FPS. I'm not an FPS gamer. I like hardcore action-adventure storylines featuring Batman. I did not like Gotham City Imposters, which was basically Team Fortress 2 with Batman characters. I thought it was stupid. Was the gameplay good? Sure. But I thought the game's entire premise was dumb. So I kind of see Suicide Squad kill the Justice League kind of like Sunset Overdrive and, you know, Gotham City Imposters, more or less. So, I mean, while I'll play the game, I don't know necessarily if the game is really gonna speak to me, you know, in a sense. I don't think it's gonna be something that's gonna suddenly, you know, change my mind about third person or, you know, just shooter games in general. I don't believe so. So what James Gunn is doing is basically when all the leaks happened, he kind of leaped in front of the rumors like Superman to take the bullet and have it bounce off and be like, no matter what's going on with these leaks, I want you guys to know Arkham Batman will continue somehow. And people are like, oh my gosh, making YouTube video after YouTube video. And it's like, what do you have to go by? Is there a poster? Is there a name of the game? Is there a team that's working on the game? What do we have? Oh, James Gunn. Okay, so where's the tweet? Oh, he deleted it. That makes me feel good. Yep, that definitely makes me feel that Arkham is happening. And I got a question for you guys. How is the next Arkham game going to continue if Harley puts Batman down like a dog? Like Old Yeller? Explain that to me. Like, what are they going to do? If Flashpoint doesn't happen, and somehow this is not really the Arkhamverse, like in some type of multiverse situation, where, you know, it appears to be the Arkhamverse, but it's an Arkhamverse that diverged off a timeline or something, yeah, maybe you could do another Arkham game. But if you don't have any way to either restore the timeline or fix everything in post-game, I mean, how in the world is a Batman game going to continue? Also, let's say you play in the same sandbox as the Arkham games. How are you going to do Batman's voice? You can't really bring Roger Craig Smith in because he played a younger Batman. You already had an established older Batman who, RIP, Kevin's gone. So it wouldn't feel right. I don't even think fans would really support your game if you did another like Arkham game using basically Kevin's Batman after the Suicide Squad game. If anything, you need to have the Suicide Squad game end in a satisfying way that will be a tribute both to the actor and his character, as well as the franchise that Rocksteady made, because Rocksteady will never be able to make another Arkham game. This really needs to be the end of it. In fact, if the entire universe ends, so be it. Then you need to find a way of, you know, telling fans, we're rebooting Arkham, or, you know that thing with Arkham Origins? Arkham Origins actually took place in another multiverse. And this is what Batman's story continued with. You could do that. Fans would probably be like, alright, I liked Arkham Origins, and they've been demanding for 10 years. How come there hasn't been a trilogy for Arkham Origins? So that would be your easy in with fans. Because I'm going to tell you, WB, right now you have a huge division with your fan base. I mean, it's all over the internet. It's on Reddit, it's on X, it's on Instagram, it's on YouTube. You have people that either really love and worship the ground you walk on for the Suicide Squad, and then you have people that don't like you, and don't like the Suicide Squad or the direction you're going in. You don't have a unified fan base anymore. Not every Arkham player is going to jump on the train to play a shooter game because most of us like the single-player, story, adventure-driven Batman games, and not really a fan of shooters. You know, especially live service shooters, which apparently David Zaslav is very excited about live service. Although I would argue with people that will get me in trouble that Arkham Knight kind of was using that live service mentality a little bit which is what DLC kind of was. I mean, you had the Season of Infamy, you had more stuff breathed into the life of a game, like post-launch. They added, 4 DLC mini side quests, which I wish were longer, but you had Freeze, Ra's al Ghul, Killer Croc, and Mad Hatter. And they added some, much-needed life into the game. Plus, you had the Arkham episodes, which were very, very short, for Red Hood, Catwoman, Robin, and Nightwing. And then you had the very lengthy DLC, which was, pretty decent size, about 2 hours, for the Batgirl Matter of Family stuff. So I would argue that that kind of was a live service model. You didn't have enough, skins for people to buy, which, I mean, if you would have gone with the whole skin thing that Marvel's Avengers did, I mean, that definitely would have enticed more people to probably buy the game back then. But, I mean, at the time, the game felt like it was kind of complete. It was the end of Batman's story. Like, how are you going to continue it? Although people did kind of want the Arkham game to continue with the Bat family being at the forefront for the next game. And it did happen, it's just, it wasn't connected. And Gotham Knights wasn't really a worthy successor. In fact, Gotham Knights is going to go down in history as a Batman game that released, and then people forgot about it. I want to be completely blunt with you guys. How many of you people are still playing Gotham Knights and know people that are playing Gotham Knights? The only person I know that plays Gotham Knights on occasion is my wife. I played through the game 4 times, I'm done. I'm never touching it again. Like, I have no reason to go back. The story is an eye roller, it's full of cringe. They had so much potential, and every time I play the game, it's like, you can see that there are elements of the game that's really good, and then there are elements of the game that are just terrible. And you get kind of depressed playing it, because you could be like, oh, I could really see where they would go with the story here. Too bad they didn't have a talented writer work on it. In fact, originally they were supposed to have Scott Snyder, the guy who actually created the Court of Owls, write the story, and then they added him to a consultant role, and then they replaced him as consultant with Sweet Baby Incorporated. And, well, that's all you need to know from there. Those people are crazy. So, the game, of course, had crazy elements. The thug dialogue was the worst in any WB Batman game. Like, it was just beyond, the stuff they talked about was just stupid. They were trying to basically be like, oh, we're bad, but we're bad because of our circumstances. So basically, it was a game made for Twitter, and that's why it failed. What you need to remember, WB Games, is you're not making games for people on Tumblr and Twitter. You're making games for Batman fans. And Batman fans, if you don't deliver, are going to criticize you and basically chastise your game until the end of time, because we expect better. And if you can't handle that, then, well, Spider-Man is just over there in his friendly neighborhood, and most fans kind of have this mentality that, if you can't provide the service, they're going somewhere else where it can be provided. So basically, it's like this, okay? This is where the Arkham fan base is right now. You go into a restaurant, you order a steak. You know that the steak is going to be very bad. But you go there because, you're a valued customer. You like the people at the restaurant. You like the atmosphere. It brings good memories for you. But every time you eat there, not only do you get sick, but the food sucks. Now, you have a opportunity to let the chef know, because he comes out for once and asks you how his steak was. You can either A, tell him the steak sucked, or B, you can say, the steak wasn't very good, maybe try doing this next time. So you give the chef constructive criticism. Now, after you give the chef constructive criticism, depending on, if you're not rude or anything like that, the next time you come in, the steak is better. And lo and behold, the restaurant improves and gets bigger. And you're happier because your favorite restaurant now makes better food. But had you not actually talked to the chef and been like, hey, this steak is terrible, guess what? That restaurant is going to continue to cook terrible steak. And if the restaurant gets nasty and says, how dare you question me, then they're going to go eat steak over at the Spider-Man store that's just across the street and give them their business. That's how it works. So, I am a person that wants to eat a good steak, and I'm sure a lot of you are as well. So that's the difference between misinformed haters and people that are actually fans and have played the Arkham games and want to expect better, right? That's the difference. So WB shills are the people that eat crap. WB fans are the ones that want their company to not only succeed, but cook a better steak. That's it. We don't really care about anything else. We care about a good game, a good story, and a game that's going to have longevity. Shills care about something that is going to work for 6 months, and then they're going to go and shill for another company for 6 months. That's what it is. That's all it is. And I think that's a very bad thing, because people don't want a game that is just going to fill a gap until the next big release. The Arkham games have proven, since they are masterpieces and they are well-made products, that they can stand the test of time. Even Arkham Origins, 10 years later, is still fun 10 years later. Why? Because the love and passion and attention to detail put into that game. Can you argue to me that Gotham Knights was a labor of love, or it was a cash grab? Because cash grabs don't have replayability. Labors of love are games that not only are you going to come back to because they're fun, but you enjoy the experience. I replay the game every year at Christmas time. Not just because it's a great Christmas game, but also it's a fun experience. Every time I play Arkham Origins, regardless of the canon basically being Swiss cheese, it's a fun game. And you know what? Another 10 years from now, it's still going to be a fun game, if I remember my name. So, that's the difference. So, with the next generation of Batman games, the most important thing that Warner Brothers needs to do, and James Gunn, is not have Rocksteady or have WB Games Montreal make the game. Because in WB Games Montreal's perspective, they failed. Gotham Knights was a failure. Gotham Knights was an abomination. They do not deserve to make a new Batman game, because what is going to happen is they're going to make it exactly the way that Gotham Knights was. And that is a problem. The narrative is going to be all over the place. They're not going to learn from their mistakes. How dare you criticize and offer critique of their game? I could label whatever words they call people. They're just projecting, and also they're trying to be professional victims. They don't really care about their product. They're upset that people have anything dismissive to say about their product, and they're not willing to even improve anything. Now, for a little history lesson for you guys, did you know that Rocksteady actually took the criticism that happened with Arkham Asylum? And there were companies that actually criticized Arkham Asylum. I worked for one. And lo and behold, when Arkham City came out, they got 10s and 9s across the board. Why? Because they made improvements over their original game. And they knew that there were problems over the original game. Sometimes the game was slow. Sometimes the enemies were very repetitive. Sometimes the puzzles weren't very fun. The story went all over the place. Sometimes the controls were kind of rigid. Sometimes, like, the game just didn't have that much replay value because you couldn't wear different Batman suits like other Batman games that released. So Rocksteady took all these criticisms, and there was more. You know, the game usually averaged around 7 and 8s when it first came out, some 9s. But when they made Arkham City, they took every type of criticism imaginable from the previous game. They took all the feedback, and they improved everything. No longer did you have thugs that looked like random nobodies. You actually had thugs that were based on factions. You had Two-Face thugs that looked different. You had Joker thugs that looked completely different. The Penguin thugs looked different. The Riddler thugs. You know, they actually took the time to be like, all right, there's factions. There's a war going on. There's gang violence. So we're going to have the inmates no longer wear the same jumpsuits, no longer have the same facial features. Some will wear masks. Some will have scars. You know, they actually took the time to make every enemy distinct that you fought, which actually cut down on some of the repetition, which was amazing. They also added skins for Batman, so you had more replay value because you could go through playing as animated series Batman, Batman Beyond, Batman INC, you know? It wasn't just the Arkham skin over and over again. They improved the speed of the gameplay, the gliding, all that other stuff. I could go on and on and on singing the praises of what they did, because that's how the developer was. They took feedback appropriately, and they improved upon their product. And that's why it was a masterpiece. It's very simple. So, unfortunately, we're in a time period now where everything that happened with Gotham Knights would continue on in whatever WB Games Montreal made. If Suicide Squad is a bust, everything that happens in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League will just move on from that game, because the people working on games now don't care about feedback. They don't care about fan passion. They label us as problems. They're only trying to cater to the very small minority of people that aren't saying anything about their game in a unfavorable light. And that's just reality. And that's going to be a huge problem going forward. So, like I said, with the way that Rocksteady is right now, and them being in bed with Sweet Baby Incorporated, that is going to be a problem for the Suicide Squad game. So, if it succeeds, and there is by miracle some way for the Arkham games to continue, you need to distance yourselves from Rocksteady because the creative team of Jamie and Sefton are gone. They're probably going to make their own studio in a couple years, just like what happened with Retro Studios and Rare. That is probably a given. Whether or not they're going to stay involved with Warner Brothers, that's another story. Because why did they leave Warner Brothers and Rocksteady in general? Something happened. Maybe we'll find out 10 years from now. Doesn't matter. But the creative geniuses behind the passion of the Arkham games is gone. And what you're left with is new hires that may have grown up playing the games, but they don't have the same creativity involved to make the game special. And again, this is all just conjecture because I haven't got a chance to play the game. I don't know. I critique and judge things based on a pattern of what I've seen in the game industry. And so far, when it came to Forspoken, when it came to Gotham Knights, and a bunch of other games, I was correct. So that's where I'm going with a lot of this, is you can see a clear pattern when some things don't work out. So, the studio that I would recommend to make the next Batman game would be a studio that actually has passion and talent right now, and could be one of the biggest game developers in the world, and that would be Avalanche. Because Avalanche made the amazing Harry Potter game, Hogwarts Legacy. And for Harry Potter fans, they hit it out of the park. Like, basically, for Harry Potter games, Hogwarts Legacy is like Arkham Asylum, in a sense. So, I mean, I'm sure Warner Brothers wants them to make the next Hogwarts Legacy, but I think that team actually could make a great Batman game, and I think that they would do things a little bit differently than how we've had it. But there's also another company that I think could make a great Batman game, and that would be the ones that actually gave us the Nemesis System in the Shadows of Mordor, Shadows War series. That Lord of the Rings really M-rated game thing that was very intense. So that could work out. And I was actually going on in my head how a Nemesis System could work for Batman over a live service thing, so which would really challenge the player. In terms of the Nemesis System, how I would go about it is I think it would really challenge the player. And I heard the Wonder Woman game still has the Nemesis System involved, and I think that would be a better thing than the live service stuff that, you know, WB is doing. But that's besides the point. So, with the Nemesis System, how it could work for Batman, let's take Riddler, for example. So, let's say Batman ends up challenging Riddler, and he defeats him outright. And then Riddler has, like, this big speech, like, oh, the only reason you beat me is because you had advantage on the ground, and next time I'll be sure to, you know, thwart you this way. So then Riddler breaks out of Arkham or wherever, like, over the course of the story, gets out of police captivity, and the next time Batman faces Riddler, he gets away. Now, how did he get away? He did some type of maneuver in the Riddler-mobile, which, yes, there was a Riddler car, and it caused the Batmobile to spin out of control and smash into something. So now you're going to have to go back to the Batcave, and you're going to have to make tweaks to not only your gadgets, but also the Batmobile in order to be prepared for Riddler's tactic of trying to get away from you. Then when you defeat him and put him in jail, then he breaks out, and he has another way that you're going to have to defeat him, which will constantly put the player, like, mind going and being like, I really need to become the Batman in order to face my villains. Sometimes I'll have to go into the sky, like Batwing, or maybe I'll have to, you know, climb a building, or maybe I'll need to sneak underground or something like that. And the villains will get smarter each time. I think that could make for a very unique and awesome Batman experience, which, I mean, probably how it's going to work with Wonder Woman would be exactly like the Shadow of Mordor series. You know, you cut off the head of somebody, and next time it's going to be really hard to, you know, cut off their head, or maybe they'll have armor that prevents you from stabbing them a certain way, or you'll have to get creative with explosions or goddess powers. Who knows? I mean, I would say they would probably do something like that, but I think that a Nemesis System would work better for a Batman game than it would a Wonder Woman. But, as we know, the live service mechanic is what basically James Gunn and David Zaslav want for the next Batman game, because they see it as a money-making opportunity for them. They see it as like, oh, okay, We could take the Fortnite approach or the Marvel's Avengers approach and just have fans continually buy new cosmetics, new additions to the game, so we can actually extend the life of the game, like past a year or two or whatever. And that works if the game is good. The problem is Marvel's Avengers was just a mediocre game, and Square was pumping all this money and time into keeping the game alive. And then what happened to that game? Basically, the game went the way of the dodo, and it became extinct. Like, it even was delisted at one point, I believe. And they did this one big last hurrah where you could go and download all these free skins and stuff like that before they basically shut off the game forever. And, you know, I didn't even take advantage of that because I didn't care anymore. It's like, yeah, there's all these Avenger characters in this, and it was a fun game, but Spider-Man felt like you were playing as a geriatric old man web-slinging through, you know, these different Avenger levels. Oh my gosh, it was so bad. Unfortunately, the Avengers game for me is just a blur. I covered it, and I don't remember it at all, like Marvel Midnight Suns. It happened. I know I covered it extensively for a year, and then it just kind of phased off into existence. Like, it doesn't have any lasting appeal. It was just a fun game that released, and it was done. Whereas Spider-Man, that's a game, again, like the Arkham games, that you're going to keep coming back to because the game is phenomenal. Spider-Man 1, Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2, you know? Those games you're going to keep playing over and over again because they're well-made games. Spider-Man 2, I would argue, parts of the game aren't that great, and maybe it's kind of like an Arkham Origins situation where it's got like a decent-sized fan base that, you know, like playing it, but also you have the fan base of Spidey fans that really love and champion for the Spider-Man 2018 game. So my hope for the next Arkham game is, I know that the live service stuff is going to happen. I guess the only way that you could go about it is more gameplay value from your game, but not in a way that's going to tick off gamers. Like, you don't want to go all in with the whole live service thing like people are talking about for the Suicide Squad game. You want to have live service elements, like, to breathe new life into the game, like, you know, season pass content and maybe new skins and stuff like that. And you could argue, well, skins don't make the game interesting. If that's true, then why do so many people mod Arkham Knight to replay it over and over again? Or, you know, do multiple playthroughs of the game wearing different skins? Like, out of the 30 skins that are in the game, there are even people that, after 8 years, started playing Arkham Knight again just to run around as Robert Pattinson Batman and play through the story again. So I would argue that skins do add longevity to a game. It adds replay value. Look at me. I'm replaying Arkham Origins every Christmas with a brand new skin. Well, I mean, not brand new, but you know what I mean. Last year I did Azrael. The year before that I did another skin. This year I did Adam West. Next year I'm doing Long Halloween or Night of the Round, you know? Changing up the cosmetic of Batman does make for a fun experience. It just does. So, I mean, if they're smart about that, they could actually do something really interesting with the live service Batman stuff, as well as I would really take a page out of Rocksteady's book, the Season of Infinity thing, and just expand on that and make it a lot broader. But anyway, getting back to this whole thing, because I know I went off all over the place. The only way that I could see the Arkham franchise continuing would be if, for one, it's like some type of branch reality, and two, it's a reboot in a sense, but a reboot that basically resets everything back to the end of Arkham Origins. And then the sky's the limit. You could do an entire Arkham saga. The most important thing, though, is that you don't fumble this time, because you basically took a goldmine franchise that could have competed with the likes of Assassin's Creed and even some stealth games like Metal Gear or Splinter Cell, something like that, you know? Or even some of these ninja games. You had the ability to continue to make Batman games every 3 to 4 years that was not going to starve your, you know, core fan base and have them migrate over to Marvel games, which Marvel has a plan at least up until 2026. Whereas Warner Brothers, you know, supposedly they have 7 games in development, supposedly. But I mean, that's not good enough anymore. You know, fans need to actually be very adamant and be like, hey, you know, we need more than just empty promises, because empty promises get games canceled. Look at Crisis on Infinite Earths, the Lego game, canceled. Look at the Damian Wayne Batman game, canceled. The Superman pitch, canceled. The Arkham Origins sequel, canceled. You know, we can't just, like, live off on the idea that games are in development and rumors. We haven't really heard anything about the Wonder Woman game either, other than that time it showed up on that DC All Access, whatever it was. I can't remember what it was. DC Nation. I don't know. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. That's all we have to go by is like a teaser trailer and a developer that's attached to it. There's been no word about it. There's been nothing. And it's going on over 2 years now. Mum's the word. You know, and James Gunn is getting everybody excited by the possibility that a Batman franchise is going to continue. How? Well, I'm giving you reasons how it could work. You know, you basically have to do a reset. And not just a full reboot, because fans, there are a group of fans that love Arkham Origins, so you do a continuation from that. So the next game, you were teasing all these elements of Batman running into Ra's al Ghul and things like that, and, you know, the Flying Grayson's canceled. You go with that. Your next game, you focus on, maybe you do Killing Joke and lead it into a type of, like, Arkham Asylum experience. I don't see how you could continue the franchise after everybody knows Bruce Wayne's Batman, because it kind of spoils the surprise. And even the thugs in Arkham Knight are like, hey, the idea of Batman running around as Bruce Wayne, it loses all its impact. It never will be the same. Same thing like continuing Bruce Wayne's story as Batman after the Suicide Squad game. It doesn't work. You have to go back to a world where Batman, no one knows that he's Bruce Wayne, and so that he's able to continue his war on crime, and you make really cool stories about Batman. The idea that Bruce Wayne's identity was exposed was interesting, but he's not Iron Man. It's not going to have the same significance as, like, you know, when Robert Downey Jr. just said, I'm Iron Man, and the world was just kind of like, oh, Iron Man is really Tony Stark. But the important thing that I will leave you with is we don't want, with the next Arkham game, somebody like WB Games or even Rocksteady to make the games, because they've lost the passion, they've lost the heart, they lost the soul for the Batman franchise. You need a fresh set of eyes, a new upcoming developer that can really do something interesting with The Dark Knight. And my vote would be Avalanche. Maybe you guys know another game developer that would work really well, but we need someone that can bring new life to the franchise, as well as maybe even continue where the franchise left off and give fans something new and interesting to look forward to. But anyway, this video got kind of long, but as you can tell, I have a passion for the Arkham franchise, and I have a lot of ideas that we could continue to talk about, but I've gone on for quite a while. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys had a lot of fun, and I will see you with the next topic video where we discuss how WB failed Arkham fans for 10 years. Until then, I hope you guys had a happy new year. Thanks so much for watching. In the comment section below, tell me what you think about this video. Do you think that the next Arkham game is really going to happen, or that they're going to have a lot of problems like they did before, canceling many games and pitches and not sticking to a commitment for the next Arkham game? Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Until we meet again, Gothamites, God bless, happy gaming. I'll be seeing you.